hour with some breaking news. We are learning new information about the Georgia election interference case. In the last 30 minutes, a motion has been filed to dismiss it. So Fox News' Eric Perry is joining me now live with the details. Eric, this is a case that just seems like it's unraveling by the second, barely hanging on here.
You know, we thought we had maybe like a breath, especially since Pete Skandalakis appointed himself over it after they were given a deadline of Fani Willis. You're looking at some video there to step down and put a new prosecutor on this case there. Again, within the past 15 minutes, we got a 22-page document on really going over his motion as to why he says the case should be dismissed. Now, Pete Skandalakis, he is over the now District Attorney Pro Tem with the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia there. So he kind of appointed himself. I want to go through some of the things together, Alex. And again, this is what makes the Fox News Live really a good forum for this. We can break it down. One of the things he says was when he got this case, some people thought that this case was on life support. He says that unlike family members who must make the emotional decision to withdraw ones, he says he has no emotional connection to this case, which is one of the reasons why. He goes into detail a timeline starting with a December 14th, 2020 kind of phone call there, which is all of this is going around where now President, again, Donald Trump, then President Donald Trump was going out. Remember, Joe Biden was coming in for the president. So a lot of different things and different terms to go through. He made a phone call to officials here asking for more votes, or that was what was alleged here. But he goes through each one here, 22 pages, and goes through his philosophies and beliefs. One thing I thought was kind of important to mention, he says, given the substantial constitutional, federal, and state issues implicated in his case, the length of time, which he also makes really points throughout all of this, and the court's interest is some of the reasons why he says that he wants to, or he's moving for this to be dismissed. Some notes that I've jotted down. He also went through different characters in this case, right? Of course, we know the biggest character and the most well-known would be now President Donald Trump. Then he was on his way out as the new president, Joe Biden at the time, was coming in. But Mark Meadows, Jeffrey Clark, David Schaefer, other Republican electors, he went through and gave really a account of why he believes each of these cases or the counts should be dismissed. But at the end, he also says overt acts such as arranging a phone call, in which we've seen, issuing a public statement, tweeting to the public to watch the Georgia Senate committee. He goes through all of that, says are not acts I would consider sufficient to sustain a RICO case. And this is where District Attorney Fani Willis was making her case in. He says that he spent a lot of time there. And at the end of this, he ends it by saying he knows that there's a deep political divide in this country right now. He says this decision will not be universally popular. He goes on to say that he knows people will criticize. He welcomes people to criticize their public officials, but he also ends it by saying threats and violence has no place in that process. Going through all of that, he says his assumption here, or his motion, has been guided based on evidence of the law and principles of justice here. So this is a 22-page document that we've been going through. We're still going through with the fine-tooth comb here. We know Pete Skandalakis will not have any comments there, but we did reach out to the District Attorney's Office, Fani Willis. Now, this is the day before Thanksgiving. I'm sure she probably is not thankful for this. I would assume this is not what she wanted to have happened there, but we did reach out to her office, and hopefully we'll get some sort of a statement back. We'll be reaching out, especially I'm curious to see what our Georgia gang members, those on both sides of the aisle, is this something that is welcome? Is this something that's going to be controversial? This will definitely be a talker for many people over their Thanksgiving tables tomorrow.
Oh, it certainly will. And when you think at the beginning of Fani Willis's time in this position, she came out with that hammer in full force, saying she was coming after President Trump and all of his allies. She said that there was going to be some sort of ramification for this. It seems like as of right now, that just might not be the case.
You know, you and I both covered the big ceremonious when he turned himself in through the streets of Atlanta, the amount of resources.
Who could forget that mugshot?
The mugshot, you know, the resources, the amount of money and time that this has been. And that was another thing that he kind of mentioned throughout here. By the time the president would be able to stand trial to this, it would be 8 years removed since that phone call. He can't go to trial, be prosecuted while he's in office. And even even if you went maybe the day after he left office, he says that an immediate trial would be impossible. So who knows what timeline we would be facing for this. So of course we are combing through this. We are, look, all hands on deck in the newsroom as we are focusing and trying to get the major points, and we'll have the latest for you at noon and 2, 3, and all the newscasts for the rest of today.
Yeah, we know you're on top of it, Eric. Thank you for that.